live and the countdown is going. You got 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Sorry, I have to do that. It's old habit.
Do what? I didn't even see what you did, huh?
3 minutes.
Oh, that's
and I gotta say it that way because when I was in the 82nd, they would do countdowns on when the jumps were going to happen. They, 10 minutes. They always said it that way. 3 minutes. And then when you get really close, right side jumper stand up. Right side of the plane stand up. Left side jumper stand up. Some table. That's part of the problem I've got here. I ain't got no room. Because I got the tablet on the table. I got 1 minute and 37 seconds. There we go. All right. There shouldn't be much mechanics going on tonight.
I think we pulled up kind of the same thing.
We may have, but I got some at the end that I added.
Okay, so we'll just go off yours because I got the same thing you got. I need to put these glasses on because God knows I can't see for the damn on this phone.
I don't have it big enough for you yet. I had to use big font on here.
No, you don't have it big enough yet for me. Why can I not? I can never figure out how to see this spot. So we just go through it. What do you do?
There we go. Let's see here. What do you think? I'm not seeing it. There we go. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. Welcome everybody to Tales from the Lounge, Cigar Company Spotlight. I'm Ron,
I'm Rhonda.
and welcome everybody. Give us just half a second here. I'm running a little tight here. Let me share this out to half of everybody. But we're going to do something kind of interesting tonight. I thought it would be kind of fun is to kind of talk about cigar myths. You know, we hear all kinds of stuff about cigars, and I thought it would just kind of fun to talk about some of the myths and discuss how many of them are actually true and how many of them are actually false. And we'll do the obvious ones right off the bat and things that you can find commonly on the internet. And then we'll go from there. I hope everybody's having a good week so far. How about you, Miss Rhonda?
I've had an interesting week already, and it's only Wednesday.
I know. I'm so looking forward to Friday. Unfortunately, I've got a friend of mine who's asked me to pick him up at the airport Friday evening. So I've got to run all the way to the airport. But luckily, I'll get off early, so hopefully I can avoid a lot of the traffic. Because he's playing 6:30.
Oh, you're in the heart of traffic.
Yeah, you know, and I'm like, I agree.
DFW.
DFW, yeah.
Not my favorite airport.
Well, you know, I'm not sure I want to go to Love Field for a little while.
Right? I fly out of Love Field everywhere I go.
Well, you know,
but after that little fiasco that they had.
Oh, that was crazy. Well, you know, and I heard somebody pulled up that she had been arrested about 4 years ago, for robbing a bank.
Yes.
And yeah. So it was kind of crazy. So anyway, welcome everybody. we're all caught up here, and we're going to talk about cigar myths tonight. Talk about what's true, what's not, what we think is kind of funny, and the ones that we kind of wish were real, you know? And we'll just work from there. And with that being said, let's hit our intro. Let's see here. Go to home. Where's your notifications at? Oh, notifications. Are you friends with me on here?
Yes.
Are you following me?
Yes.
Doesn't look like it.
What do you mean doesn't look like it? Go to.
Let's see here.
Yeah, I tried to get this question
Well, let's do this. Tales from the lounge. Light. Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Sorry about that, folks. Your problem is it's an iPhone.
You stop talking about my iPhone.
Let's first off start off talking about what are we smoking tonight, because this is the cigar show, and we are smoking. And
I lost my band.
no, it's all right. It's all right.
No, it's not.
I mean, as long as you don't lose it. So, oh, I'm gonna relight mine. What we are smoking tonight is something very special, and this will make a few people jealous. But we are smoking a Principal Cochon Blanc Black and Gold. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Cochon Blanc Black and Gold was a very limited run. I think they only had like 10 boxes is all they had of these things. And they had a Maduro wrapper on them, and they are just phenomenal.
They're great.
They were a
stick.
special deal. They had a little bit of tobacco left over, so they wrapped it and did it. And they have been a knockout of the park cigar. And if you pair this up with a particular tequila, it tastes like a Reese's peanut butter cup melting on your tongue.
I didn't know that.
Well, now you do.
Well, I need to try that. Also, it tastes good with this batch. Number 198.
Yep, we are drinking batch 198 from 2018 Cabernet, which was aged in a bourbon barrel for 3 months. And have you tried it yet?
Yes, it's great. That's what I'm saying. It's great.
Well, I haven't tried it yet.
Oh, well, you better get to drinking.
I got to get caught up. Give me a second.
Get to drinking, honey.
I got all these technical things I got to
Okay, well,
take
we got
care
a
of.
whole nother bottle to finish, too. People probably think we're
Well,
just like winos.
that's because we're luscious. So anyway, so let's start
Tell our
off.
secret.
Let's start off with the first myth, and it's the myth that everybody has. I'm going to say no. I'm not going to say everybody's heard of this, but then I'm going to tell you the story the first time I ever heard it. But that Cuban cigars were rolled on the thighs of naked virgins. Okay. Now,
don't you wish?
No, because who knows what would be on it, you know? I mean,
Come on now.
those girls might be kind of skanky and dirty, you know?
Now, see,
I
why are
mean,
you thinking all nasty like that? See,
well, I mean, and if they're virgins, they've got to be young. How experienced of a roller could they be? Or is somebody rolling it on their
that doesn't mean that they're
laps?
young if they're virgins. There are some adults that are virgins that are just waiting to, you know.
Yeah.
So that.
Okay, well, let's say they're only 25. Okay, that's still
Okay.
kind of young. And how experienced of a
But they're
roller could they
adults.
be?
But they are adults.
They could, yeah, but how experienced of a roller could they be?
I mean, I don't know how
I don't know.
experienced they are. But
So,
I mean, but
let me tell you the first time I ever heard that.
tell me.
There was a movie a billion years ago.
A billion years ago.
Something Wicked This Way Comes. And it was an old Robert Preston movie. And there was a guy who owned a drugstore. It was set in the early 20s. And he had a Indian cigar display outside, and he
Okay.
sold cigars. And he dreamed of being rich and smoking Cuban cigars, and he says, and they're rolled on the thighs of virgins. And I was like, wow. And I probably wasn't but about 12, 13 years old when I...
And you believed it, didn't you? You just believed it.
I didn't know. I didn't know shit at that age.
You believed it too.
But the first time
But now you want to say, oh, how gross. How would it be just rolling on a virgin, rolling scars on a virgin? Legs. Ugh.
Anybody's legs. Doesn't have to be a virgin. Anybody's legs, you know? I mean,
Okay.
rolling, you know,
Okay.
I mean...
Okay.
So anyway,
Okay.
that's the first one. Has anybody else heard that? If you've heard that rumor, heard that myth, let us know. But they are not rolled on the thighs of anybody unless they're doing it at home for themselves. And they're doing their own little rolling, and they're just, you know, doing that. Because you really need a flat surface. You need to be able to roll it properly and to shape it.
To shape it.
And the
cut
whole
the
9
cap
yards.
and all that good stuff.
And yes, the movie was, the book was released in 1962, and the movie was in 1983. So actually, I was probably about 16 at the time. So, age
Okay.
three, yeah. So Wayne popped in with that information. Thank you very much, Wayne.
Hey, Wayne.
And
Hi,
I'll tell you what,
Larry.
I need to go back and watch that movie because that was, and I said Robert Preston, it was James Robart. So, but yeah, it was a great movie, and I haven't seen it in probably 30 years. I could probably go back and watch it again and get some memories out of it.
I'm sure you could.
Okay, so staying in Cuba, the best cigars come out of Cuba. Well, I'm going to tell you, I've been to Cuba and I've smoked Cuban cigars, and while they are good,
I don't think that
they are not even close to the best. Now, at one time, they may have been the best, but nowadays, their major problem is quality and their limitation on tobacco. They currently have a lot of young rollers. All of their experienced rollers are retiring, and a roller only makes about $30 a month in Cuba, and so there's no real incentive to do a great job. And they will be flat out up front that in a box of cigars, of 20 cigars, at least 5 of them are going to be unsmokable because they're rolled too tight, they're not rolled properly, and
they might have like a little bit of a stem in there too.
you know, the quality's just not there anymore. And they're short on tobacco, and they're having to buy tobacco from the rest of the world, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, in order to have enough tobacco to even sell what they have on order.
Right.
So it's may have some Cuban tobacco in it, and it may not.
Right.
You know. So
you know what? I agree with Wayne. He says the best cigar is the cigar that you're smoking. That's true.
You know what? And this is something I'm stealing from the guys here. But you know, the other thing that's crucial is where and who you're smoking it with. You know,
Yeah. I get that.
You know, one of their fun little sayings they have around here is you may smoke a better cigar, but you won't smoke it in a better place.
You absolutely right, and they are absolutely right. This place is so phenomenal. I love this place.
Well, you know,
Absolutely love it.
and it doesn't, and not necessarily the place, but you know,
It's the people. It's the people. I mean, the
when you and
environment.
I are wherever we're at,
Yeah.
and we're sitting having a cigar together, hey, I'm happy. You know, I
happy
can't,
too?
I can't complain at all. All right, so we're gonna jump out of Cuba now, and like I said, and I've been to Cuba, and I hope to go back before too much longer. But like I said, the cigars are okay, but the quality's not there anymore, and there is a lot of great stuff coming out of the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, that will put Cuban cigars to shame, and for the price, you just can't beat going somewhere else. And the other deal is, the biggest thing that the mystique behind Cuban cigars is the fact that we have an embargo here, and you can't get them yearly. You know, if you want Cuban cigars, you got to get them from somewhere else and have them imported in, or you got to go to Cuba and buy them and bring them back.
Yeah, but don't get them off the cruise ship.
don't get them off the cruise ship.
Don't get them off the cruise ship.
And we're going to bring up a couple other things that are important about that too. So, should you store your cigars in a refrigerator? There's a myth out there that in order to keep them fresh and everything, you should store them in a refrigerator. No, that is a myth.
I wouldn't have enough room in my refrigerator. I'd have to buy a whole new refrigerator for all the 6 that I have.
Well, but that's what you have humidors for.
Exactly. So why would you want to stick it in your refrigerator?
Well, you'd have to buy a refrigerator.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm not going out to buy a refrigerator for these sticks. I have plenty of humidors at home. Plenty.
Well, but think about it. How much do you pay for a decent humidor?
$100, $200, $300. Maybe more than that.
Let's just say you reasonably priced buy one for 60, 70, 80 bucks.
Yeah,
okay?
reasonable price. But it's how you season it.
Wait. Now, how many do you have?
Do you really want me to tell you? 11.
So at $80 a piece, you spent over $800 in humidors. You could have bought a nice
big
size refrigerator.
Yes, but I'm not going to put it in a refrigerator.
You're not, because the temperature is what's going to kill you. And I love Wayne, yes. I have a couple of cooler doors, and I love the cooler doors. But I also have a couple of nice humidors, and I love keeping sticks in those. But the deal is, if you drop the temperature on the sticks, it draws out the humidity and they dry out. So trying to regulate the humidity and the temperature is crucial for keeping the sticks from going bad, drying out, or becoming oversaturated. But by the same token, if you order sticks online and get them in, what you need to do before you do anything, unless you're going to smoke every last one of them right now, stick them in the freezer. Stick them in the freezer for about 3 or 4 days, and then pull them out and let them sit, reacclimate in your humidor, get them back up to temperature and back up to proper humidity.
Okay, so are you saying put the whole box in the freezer?
The whole box, or not necessarily.
Or take them out of the box.
You can take them out of the box, or you can put the whole box. But the reason you want to drop the reason you want to drop the temperature is if there are any insect eggs in the tobacco, freezing it will kill the eggs. Okay?
Really?
Yes. And if it's been on a UPS truck and during a hot summer, once the temperature gets 70, 80, 90 degrees, if the eggs have not been killed yet, they will reactivate. You get them in off of the UPS truck, throw them in your humidor with the rest of your cigars.
Now you've infested the rest of
your
your
cigars. And you've infested the whole thing, and I have seen pictures of people losing entire humidors to bugs because they didn't properly freeze the cigars. Hi, Dave.
Hi, folks. How are you?
Hi,
we are talking cigar myths.
Yes.
Myths?
Yes.
Oh. Which ones have you done so far?
Naked women thighs.
Rolled on
yeah,
the
That's not true. And the Cubans are the best.
That's not true.
At a base.
Storing them in a freezer or in your refrigerator. But we did cover, if you get them in and you've ordered them, put them in your freezer for 3 or 4 days, and then
particularly Cubans.
Particularly Cubans.
And I was going to say, you know what? I'm going to ask Pops about this.
Well,
They don't freeze them.
Yeah, they don't freeze them. But that's who I learned that from. Is from him.
Yeah.
Well, if I don't believe something, I'm going to him.
That's it. And the other myth, I don't see it on there. dark wrappers don't mean it's going to be strong.
It's on there.
You don't need me.
Hey,
We always need you. What you talking about?
Pull up a chair.
No, I have this stuff to do.
said.
I have to smoke an Alfonso. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let us know
All
about
right.
that.
I want a full
Where'd you
report.
get
Okay, so as we mentioned, you want to put those in the freezer, let them acclimate, freeze all the bugs, larvae.
Well, I have a box, a brand new box that I got, I don't know, probably like a month ago. I haven't unwrapped them. They're still sealed.
Yep. Throw them in the
I'm
freezer.
gonna throw them in the freezer. Okay, so I put them.
Because
wait,
what
so
you
I
don't
put them
want
in
to
a
happen is to unwrap it, open it, and find they've been ate up by bugs.
Right. So should I put them in a Ziploc bag or just put the whole box in
Just
there?
put the whole box in there.
Okay.
Because it doesn't. All that matters is temperature.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to do when I get home tonight. Well, whenever I get home tonight.
What that is good.
I told you.
All right. So, yeah, Wayne agrees with me. Throw it in there.
Okay, Wayne. I'm
All
throwing
right.
it in there, boo.
The next one is that President John F. Kennedy hoarded Cuban cigars before signing the Cuban embargo, and Kennedy sent aides to Washington, D.C. cigar stores to buy as many cigars as possible, especially the H. Upmann Petite Corona, before he signed the Cuban embargo. That's true. He knew what was coming down, and he said, "Hey, go buy up as much as you can, and we're gonna have a stash of these, and then we're gonna sign the Cuban embargo." And you know what? I kind of don't blame him, but by the same token, not to get political or anything, but that's part of the problem with people in government and Congress. They come up with all these rules and stuff, and they're fixing to sign this into law, and then they go and start making deals beforehand. And that's how they go in poor and come out rich. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to get down to the one that Dave mentioned here. Maduro cigars are stronger than cigars with lighter color wrappers. The
Not
darker the
true.
wrapper, the stronger the
true.
cigar. That is not true.
Not true.
A lot of it has to do with what's in the cigar. The wrapper is just part of the flavor of the cigar. This is a Maduro wrapper on here, but these are about a medium stick.
Yeah, it's a
They're
medium. It's
stick.
not strong at all.
And not
It's
strong,
not-
very
It's not going to
smooth.
punch you in the throat.
Not gonna, but the other deal is, Darren's aged these like 8 years at minimum, for the tobacco.
Yeah, they've
so-
been aged for quite a while, so.
So all of the punch and everything is gone, and these are just so damn good. Oh my God!
Yeah,
But-
they are pretty tasty.
But I'm going to piggyback on a myth that I've got further on, but because we're talking about Maduro, and you'll hear people talk about it's got a Maduro wrapper, it's got a Maduro.
Hey, Rob.
And people think that is a leaf, and it's not. A Maduro leaf is the same leaf as whatever. It can be any leaf from the tobacco plant. It is just differently fermented than the rest of the leaves. And that's what gives us that darker color and changes the flavor. They're actually put into an environment which is a higher temperature, which gives it that Maduro color. And so you can have two identical leaves in a cigar, and one of them was just fermented differently, and that was a Maduro, and the other one's not, and that's the difference. And I thought for the longest time there was a different leaf on the plant, or a different what am I trying to say? A different part of the tobacco plant, and it's not.
What else we got?
You should warm a cigar before smoking it.
What? How do you want to warm it?
Put it in a toaster oven. No,
Well, it's going to burn its own self up.
no. You
That
do
is
not want to do that.
Totally false.
You don't want to do that because it needs to be room temperature-ish. You know, between 68 and 72 is a good temperature.
Yeah.
And we're going to get more into that later on. But part of that has to do with humidity and the drying the tobacco out. So
Chris said toast the foot, but not the entire cigar.
exactly.
Rob
But
said
toasting it is just
Bandolero
part of the,
firecracker will be my dessert after dinner.
Good deal, Rob.
Good deal, yeah. Bandoleros,
Good to see you, brother. I'm sorry I missed you Saturday.
Bandoleros are always good.
Yeah, see, there's no reason to pass the lighter over the whole cigar stick, Wayne. That just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And you definitely do not want to put it in the microwave. Don't microwave it.
Really? Oh man, really? I can't do that? I'm just kidding. I would never do that. What fool would do that?
Hey, listen, people do.
People do the darndest things.
People do the darn. Hey, you know, I'd say not too long ago, a few years ago, there was a running gag of, hey, listen, you know, the new lightning charging on the iPhones is kind of like microwaves. If you want to fast charge your phone, don't have a cable, throw it in the microwave. Somebody just not too long ago posted a picture that they had put their iPhone in a microwave and burned it up because they're stupid.
Well, let me tell you something. As much as we spend on these iPhones, and they're not cheap.
Nope.
I just got a new one. I am definitely not putting my iPhone in a microwave, nor my iWatch.
No, definitely not. Do not put your electronics in a microwave. In fact, do not put anything metal related in a microwave.
In a microwave.
So,
That just must have been like an old iPhone that they had, and they were just making a joke or something. It had to be. Because I just can't, well, people are stupid sometimes.
yes, they are.
All right.
You know, and it's like that, hey, listen, the tires are, summer's coming, the air's going to expand. You need to poke a couple of holes to let the extra pressure out, you know. So, anyway, next. Lick the entire cigar before lighting it.
Now, that was a good one. When I read that, I just died laughing. Now, why would I lick the entire cigar? Well, if you... Never mind. Lick
I tell you what,
entire cigar.
Oh.
But
Now-
I would...
Now, people will lick the foot.
Yeah, but that's okay.
But here's the deal: if you're gonna lick it, do it after you cut it.
Exactly. Don't do it before you cut it.
Because here's the purpose to licking the cigar foot after you cut it. If there's any rough edges around where you cut it, when you lick it, it will moisten that a little bit and allow it to lay down. And I'll tell you what, I've run into a couple of sticks here recently where I don't know what I did when I cut it, but I just did a regular cut on it, but it almost, the wrapper started to come loose.
Yes.
And started to peel
I've
loose.
done that a
And
couple
so,
times.
you know, I licked it in order
too.
to make it stick back to the binder so that I could smoke it.
Yeah,
So-
and if your tongue slices away, that's going to lay down really
but
nicely.
you don't want to do that if you're using a public cutter. Okay.
Absolutely, that's absolutely disgusting.
And that's an etiquette thing. That's not just a.
But people
myth
do
thing.
that. But
People will do that. They will
People
lick it
forget.
and then they cut it with a public.
Now, I don't wanna
and
use
then
that
they
lighter again.
And then that cutter again, yeah.
Cutter, lighter, whatever. Because after you licked it and you touched it, and I don't want to touch your lighter neither.
Because I'll tell you what, I'm not afraid of your cooties, but there are people that I'm afraid of their cooties, man.
Man, people
All
are
right.
disgusting.
They are. They are. All right. Next up. Oh, and the other deal is, if your cigars are properly humidified, you shouldn't need to lick it. The tobacco should be just fine. Okay. You don't need a humidor to keep cigars in good smoking shape.
You do not?
Yes and no. Okay? You don't necessarily need a humidor, but you do need to have something that can be properly regulated for temperature and humidification. Okay? And, you know, we were joking earlier, Wayne, about having a cooler door or Tupperware.
Yeah.
and as long as they're airtight sealed, they are perfect. And I've got two what I call cooler doors. They're nice coolers that have a good seal on them, and I use those for aging cigars. Well, I'll buy boxes that I want to keep a hold of for a while. I'll throw them in there. I've got some cedar planks I throw in with it, and then I throw in some Avita packs or some Boost packs. In fact, one of them I've got an Oasis humidifier in there, and I keep it in an area that's out of direct sunlight and temperature controlled area, and I don't have to worry about those going bad. Because what you want to do is make sure that they don't get dried out. If you don't have some way of making sure that that humidity stays in there, then you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I have several in the Tupperware. When you finally get to come to the house, you'll see. You'll be like, what is this?
All right. So next is a white ash means you're smoking a great cigar. False. Okay? The color of the ash is dependent on the tobacco and actually where it's grown. Because depending on the soil content and the sulfur and other minerals in the soil, it will change the way the color of the ash. It has nothing to do with a great cigar or not. Okay, there are some dark ash cigars that are perfectly wonderful, and some that are not. So, but that all has to do with regions. And I always forget. I want to say Nicaraguan tobacco is generally a whiter, and you go to the Dominican Republic because of the volcanic ash that's in the soil. They burn darker. So that's what that has to do with. Also,
Rob said in the age. Hold on, let me put my
no,
my
actually,
spectacles on.
the age doesn't have anything to do with it either.
Because I need to see.
All right.
Let me see. Oh, I can see much better.
And the article that I got part of this from was it has to do with what they call the Totoro. And Totoro is the complete natural environment in which a particular wine or product is grown in. They used wine, tobacco, coffee, all of that stuff. Depending on where it's grown, the environment and its total environment will dictate what it tastes like, how it burns, and all that other stuff. Okay? Okay. Next, the softer the cigar, the fresher.
Really?
What do you think?
Well, I think the softer the cigar is, you got to keep lighting it.
The softer the cigar, all that means is the looser it was rolled, and how much more air is rolled into the cigar. It has nothing to do with whether it's a good cigar or not. It has to do with how tight it was rolled, and that's it.
So if it's rolled tight, it's good.
As long as it's not too tight.
Hey.
You don't want to hurt yourself.
Yeah, I've never hurt myself. Tight or not.
But the tightness of the cigar actually goes into another factor, which is the draw.
Yeah.
So you get one that's too loose, and it's like sucking an empty straw. And
that's just like if it's tight, it's like.
And if it's too tight, it's like trying to suck
you get fish lips.
Yeah, you get fish lips, and it's kind of. But you know what? When we were in Cuba, and I've commented on this on several occasions, that I wish I had taken my perfect draw tool with me, because almost everything I smoked was tight and it was hard to draw. So, next, this is something I've seen people do, and I think part of this is not a myth, but more of a personal preference. But you should dip your cigar in whiskey before smoking it.
that is totally a personal preference.
That is totally
a personal
preference.
Because
It's false. You shouldn't do it. It adds nothing really to it.
Nothing.
All you're getting is a little bit of the taste initially from the liquor being on it.
That's it. I mean, I've done it a couple times here and there, but I mean, there's nothing like exciting about doing it. There's nothing like special about it, about doing it. But it's just a personal preference if you want to do it.
There's no need to really do it. But the other deal is, depending on the construction of the cigar, you may actually loosen the wrapper and cause yourself issues.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
The more you pay for a cigar, the better it is.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
false. Absolutely. Because I have smoked the cheapest I'm not going to go spend $100 on one, but I will smoke.
Well, I'll tell you what,
cigar.
you say that, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to here soon. I say soon, at some point. Dave and them have got some pre-embargo Cubans, and they've got some Cubans in there that are 70, 80, 90 years old, and for $125 you can get an 80-year-old Cuban. I might spend that, but I don't.
You spend it, I spend it. You buy one, I'll buy one.
All right. Well, when I get ready to do that, we'll do that, and then you and I will smoke them on camera.
They're gonna know I didn't spend $125 on this cigar.
And it will be for a special event,
It's gonna have to be.
But the deal is, and this is something I've got on here as well. Another myth that kind of piggybacks on that is that you have to be rich to smoke cigars.
You do not.
And you do not.
You
there
do
are
not.
plenty of $5 to $8 cigars
that are just as good as a $15, $20, $30 cigar.
Exactly. And I don't smoke a lot of them, but I have smoked more than my fair share. I say more than my fair share. I've smoked quite a few $30 cigars, $40 cigars.
I have too.
And and for a special occasion, that's great. But you know what? My go-to sticks and stuff that I want to smoke on a regular basis.
Right. Wayne says
$6, $7, $8.
Wayne says, yeah, but price does not dictate the quality. You're right.
Exactly.
100% right, Wayne. You won it tonight, Wayne. So you got it.
All right. All cigar smokers are snobs.
We are not.
We are not. In fact, you're not going to find a better group of people in the world, in my opinion, than cigar smokers.
We're nice,
part of what we
friendly.
love, you and I both will agree, part of what we love about the experience is not only the flavor and the enjoyment we get out of the cigars, but the company that we keep.
The pure fellowship that you get when you're in a lounge smoking a cigar, it's unmeasurable. Like, it's memories that you're making with new people, reuniting with your old friends that you haven't seen in a long time.
Exactly. And the other deal is, you're more, you find the right environment, the right group. There's nothing we wouldn't do for each other, And so that's a big myth. We're very friendly. We want to know what you're smoking. We want to have a good time. And we're very open and accepting, unless you're a dick.
Yeah, we don't like that.
Unless you're a dick, or if you like drama, we will not tolerate that shit. And we may be snobs if you think if you're that way, but that's not us. It's you. Oh, all right. Tobacco came from Cuba. Okay, so let's talk about that for just a minute, because that's partially true. Okay.
Yes, but
when Christopher Columbus discovered Cuba in the 1600s, I'm sorry, 1492.
Okay.
In the 1400s, when Columbus discovered Cuba, the natives of Cuba were burning tobacco and breathing the smoke. And as far as Europe is concerned, and the rest of the world, that is how we discovered tobacco. And tobacco has been traced back to Cuba as far as 2,000 years ago. But tobacco has been traced back to Peru 4,000 years.
Okay.
So evidently, either hurricane winds or birds or something carried those seeds from Peru to Cuba and spread. And a lot of other places have tobacco because it got transplanted from other places. But the origin is probably closer to Peru than it is to Cuba. Now, what makes all of that different and significant is the fact that, again, we're talking about environment.
Yeah.
Cuba is famous for their tobacco because that's where it all started as far as Europe goes. But for the rest of the world, who knows? Okay? Let's see here. Covered that.
Licking the ink. Okay.
Covered that. Maduro is actually processed. We're almost down to the end. Ager Cigars. You should Ager Cigars.
I mean, it's a personal preference. Some people want to just smoke.
No.
Some people just get their cigars and they want to smoke them. They don't want to age them.
Well, that's true. But there is an advantage to that depending on the cigar. Okay? If you're buying some of the commercial stuff and stuff that people are rushing out to production, aging it a short while or even a long while in your own personal humidor will change the flavor that you get from the cigar. And you're right, Wayne. Some of them are
absolutely.
aged like these. As I mentioned earlier, these are aged between 8 and 14 years, depending on the tobacco. And I say that between 4 and 14 years. And they're fine. But a lot of producers now are putting just a bare minimum of age between 6 months to 18 months before they throw them out on the shelves. And as a result, they still haven't fermented enough in order to get all of the ammonia out of the fermentation process out of the tobacco. So a good rule of thumb is if you smell a cigar and do not smell it through the wrapper, smell it through the...
Yeah, because you can't smell a cigar through plastic.
No, you can't. You can't smell it through plastic. Smell the foot earlier. Smell the foot, and if you have any hint of ammonia in that smell, it is not ready to be smoked. Put it back in your humidor or put it back on the shelf and let it sit. Now, if it's something that you're used to smoking, what you should do is buy your box or two, throw them in there, let them sit for another 3 or 4 weeks, and then check them and make sure. But the longer they're aged, the smoother they get, and the less harsher flavors you'll get out of it. And you're right, Wayne. You want to make sure they're not too green. But again, some manufacturers. In fact, we were talking about the Atabes and the Byrons a couple of weeks ago, and they not only age the tobacco, but then they'll roll them, and they'll sit a couple of more years before they even ship them. So you're not only getting aged tobacco, but then they're rolling them and aging them additionally to make sure that all of the harshness is gone and you're getting nothing but the best flavor.
That's true. That's funny because my internet guy that came to fix my internet today.
Yep.
I keep all my humidor stuff in the closet.
Yep.
He said, "What is this?" He said, "What is all this?" I said, "Well, those are all cigars." He said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, those are all cigars." He's like, "You smoke cigars?" I said, "I sure do."
Was he cute?
No, he's an old man. But I just appreciated him fixing my internet since I was down a day and a half.
I understand that.
But I had to give him a quick little lesson.
Isn't that kind of cool?
It's kind of cool. It was
kinda
kind of
cool
cool.
to be
I gave
able-
him a quick little lesson.
That's
I
it.
even showed him what the temperature should be, and he was like, "What?"
Now,
And it's here in Frisco, by the way. So I
This
told him
one's-
about this lounge.
this one is not on my list, but I wanted to bring it up. Hey, what else have I got here? Okay. I wanted to mention this. You need to make sure that your
What? Make sure what? Tell us.
that your cigars are stored in a humidor at an exact temperature and an exact humidification. That is false. Okay? If you're worried and panicked over the temperature and the humidification, then don't. Because here's the deal. There's a window you should worry about, but not an exact temperature. And the reason being is, based on the humidor and the humidification, the tobacco on the inside may be different. And the other deal is, when you light a cigar and you start smoking it, you're increasing the temperature throughout the rest of the cigar as you're smoking it, which is changing the humidity and the temperature of the cigar as you're smoking it.
And not only that, the flavor too.
Exactly. So one of the things that Industrial's been doing is some experimentation on the perfect temperatures and humidification for cigars, and they're finding that keeping your humidor at 72 and degrees and your humidification at 72 is actually a little too much. It's okay to smoke, but they have got what they call a cigar medic, and it takes a couple of probes that go into the tobacco on the inside, and they're finding that the humidification, while in a humidor that's 72 and 72, the temperature and the humidification on the interior is different, and that is more important. And so, as long as you're staying within that window, you should be fine. But if you're banging your head trying to keep your humidor between at exactly particular temperatures and humidifications, you're trying too hard. I have gotten to the point where I don't even pay attention to the what is it? The gauge.
The gauge on the humidor.
The gauge on the humidor.
Yeah.
I've got to where I just don't even. I don't even, because I struggled so long with a really good humidor, keeping it up and having to throw a whole bunch of Bavita packs in, and I've got a fairly nice humidor, and I was having to put 6-7 Bavita packs in it to keep it up, and I'm like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
And those gauges have to be calibrated periodically, and there's just so much stuff. So what I've just started doing is I'll throw 2 or 3 in the box, and once they start getting a little hard, hydrometer, thank you very much. Once the packs start getting a little, after a couple of months, starting to get a little hard, I chunk them and throw some new ones in. And I have not had any problems with any of my cigars drying out.
Nathaniel said, "What happens when you smoke a cigar and then come back the next day?"
It's dried out.
Dried out.
And
You're
you
gonna be
lost a lot of
smoking. You're losing the flavor. Feels like you're just smoking grass. I mean, not that kind of grass, but
I wouldn't know anything about that.
anyway. Finish your steak, Nathan. Don't leave it for the next day.
No, now, but if you're going to walk away for a couple of hours and come back to it, it's not that big a deal.
Wayne said, "You throw up." You're right. You're right, Wayne. You throw
could.
it. You could. Like I've actually done that, where I've actually was running out of here to get to the next spot, and I didn't finish it, and I didn't want to drive. I don't smoke in my car, and so I put it out, and then I forgot all about it, and the next day I get back in my car, and I'm like, oh, let me light this up. That is disgusting. There goes that stick. Let me just light up another one. Forget it.
Okay? Here's another one that I didn't put on the list.
Oh, you like it, Nathaniel, with a cup of coffee? Okay. Look, to each his own. You like it, I love it.
The longer the ash, the better the tobacco. That's not necessarily true, and we got educated on this.
Yep.
Because
You're missing out on that flavor.
the deal is, if you're able to keep a long ash, now keeping a long ash is unless you're trying to do a long ash competition, that's fine. But what you got to remember is, and think about is, what's keeping that ash from falling off? Well, it means that the tobacco hasn't burned completely and hasn't burned properly. And what you got to remember, the longer the ash, the more air you're pulling through that ash and diluting and corrupting the flavor of the tobacco. You should only keep about quarter of an inch, half an inch of ash on a cigar at any time if you're there to enjoy the flavor. And if your tobacco will keep an ash like this without any problem, it's not burning all of that tobacco up properly, and there's something wrong with, I don't want to say something wrong, but it's probably not the best rolled / quality cigar.
Agree.
All right.
Agree.
So, I see a lot of pictures. In fact, there's a lot of, fat ash, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to call those guys out. Fat ash group, those guys, and they post pictures of cigars with big long ashes on them, and
you stuck a paper clip in the stick.
In the stick. We'll show that here in a minute. So anyway, but yeah, you want to, you don't want to keep your ash for a long period of time, unless you're doing it for, a trick or something like that.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
And think about what and why that tobacco isn't burning completely and creating a fine ash that falls off easily.
Seen some fine ashes these days.
You're just wrong.
I know it. Sometimes I just don't want to be right. Yeah, I've seen some nice fat ashes these days.
And don't get me wrong, they look kind of cool and everything.
They do.
But
they do. But see, that's something that I learned because I would just let my ash get long and let it just drop and fall. But after I heard what happens when you leave it like that and then you're missing out on the flavors, I was like, damn, I've been doing this wrong for a minute. And I completely stopped that. So then I started enjoying the real taste and flavor of the cigar. I'm really getting to enjoy it. So, yeah, something I learned. I think you taught me that.
And I learned it from Luciano here at the shop.
I mean, there's so much you can learn here at Industrial. These guys are so knowledgeable.
And you know what? And I've only been, and I'm going to tell on myself, I've only been smoking cigars about 6 years.
I've been smoking about the same.
And I am constantly learning new stuff every day. I am nowhere near an expert, but I learn stuff and I love passing on the knowledge.
Well, I mean, I think everybody has something to teach us. Everybody knows a little something. And if we can't learn from each other, then who are we going to learn from?
That's it.
But I will say that here at Industrial, you can learn a lot. Especially if you haven't tuned in to Saturday at the Shop with Pops and Brandon, tune in this Saturday at the Shop with them. They talk about everything. They'll teach you all kinds of stuff that you didn't know. I mean, even people that have been smoking the longest for 30-something years, you can always learn something from them. And even on Tuesdays, Brandon does the Cigar Newbies podcast. And you can ask all kinds of questions, and he's so knowledgeable as well that he'll answer all the questions that you have. I mean, these guys just understand the whole theory, the technology, everything that goes into it steps.
Not only that, they're trying to cultivate and expand the culture the cigar culture, and that's how you do it.
And that's how you do it. And they're not afraid to share the knowledge. And that's what we love about these guys, because here at Industrial, they share the knowledge. And even when you're sitting in the lounge and you're just socializing with everybody in the lounge, and you get to talking about the stick that you're smoking, they're going to educate you on the stick, something that you may not even known about that particular stick. It's just such a warm environment when you're here at this particular lounge.
And we are not snobs.
And we're not snobs. We welcome everybody. We say hi to everybody. They introduce you to everybody that's sitting in the lounge. That's what's so nice about it. They show you the other part of the lounge, the members only part of it. It is just so wonderful just to be here.
And they let me sit up here and do a show, and nobody says anything to me about this. They're more than happy to let us sit in here and do this.
They are.
You know?
They're just a great family. The Frakes are just a great family.
They are. And I often joke that if you don't like Tales from the Lounge, bring Brandon Frakes, because he encouraged it. So, and they have been very supportive of the show,
Yes,
and I can't thank them enough. They're constantly teaching me stuff about broadcasting and video and all that other neat
And
stuff.
you know what?
And I'm using almost none of it,
Right.
and that's why the show sucks.
You're stupid. Anyway, don't listen to him. Do not listen. Y'all do not listen to him. He's doing a great job. Him and Chris do a fabulous job. I'm only in here while Chris is out on vacation, but I do an appearance once a month because they do Bourbon Society on Wednesdays, and that's another good thing too, because they will bring out bourbons and scotch and just all other kinds of stuff. And they'll talk about the stick and pairing it with different types of liquor and stuff. So they just do a lot of great things at the shop. You gonna fill me up again? Oh yeah, pour it all in there, baby. Because we got another whole bottle to drink.
All right.
This is our next bottle.
That's our next bottle. Well, I want to thank everybody for showing up, and I hope you learned something and we dispelled a few myths, or just had fun chatting about some of the crazy stuff people used to think. Now, let me tell you something else.
Tell me.
And it was not on the list, but you know, Winston Churchill did the same thing, and not because of an embargo, but he was afraid that he was not going to be able to get his cigars during World War II, and so he stockpiled a bunch of cigars. And when he heard certain facilities got bombed, he called him and said, "Are my cigars okay?"
I want to know that too. Are my cigars okay?
So, again, interesting stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if we missed anything and you've got any other cool stuff that you think that we missed, hit us up on the Facebook, or hit us up in YouTube. Let us know, ask us questions. We'll be happy to answer them. And if we don't know the answer, we'll look it up, do the research.
No, we don't have to look it up. We're going to go straight to Pops, because Pops is going to know that.
He might not. I don't want to.
No. Pops is going to know.
All right. So, be ready for next week. We're actually going to do a cigar company next week. Don't know who it is yet, but next week we'll have a Cigar Company Spotlight. Spotlight is a cigar company. Talk about who owned them, who owns them, how they got started, and cool stuff that you didn't know.
Cool stuff I probably didn't know.
All right. So have a great week, everybody.
Have a great
We'll
week,
see
you
you later.
guys.